Hey everyone, and welcome back to Digitally Twisted Media. We just finished watching the Kingsman's movie, and we just did a reaction to the Rasputin dance video that Warner Brothers pushed out. Woo! That's some weird stuff right there.
Yeah.
All right, this movie had a lot of, I don't want to say high points, but I'm going to say medium points and some low points and some super awkward points. This is a spoiler review. They touch a little bit on history, but I don't think they go that deep into it. And it just was kind of, to sum it all up, it was a jarbled mess. At one point, I asked myself, I looked at Jenny too, and I was like, where are they going with this?
Yeah.
All right, because there's just one of the main characters just gets off just like that, and it was
the
very
impact.
Jarring. Yeah, it was jarring, but I don't think it really had the emotional impact that they were hoping for. It kind of felt like, you had something going. It was peaking, and then, like, somebody got a hold of it, mixed it up, and threw it down to the ground, and then dropped the whole thing. And then they're like, let's just patch this up, and let's change this other, like, the theme, the purpose of the whole movie to the other main character.
Yeah, it definitely...
If that even makes sense.
It definitely was a roller coaster of character development, I would say. It definitely switched a lot back and forth and kept you on your toes guessing about what was going to happen next. I was not...
Which is not always a good thing.
No, but... It just didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. I really thought that it was going to go with Conrad being the main character who was kind of the driving force between the founding of the Kingsmen. And that wasn't what happened at all. And I thought it was quite the shocking moment when he...
So let's start off with it. Movie starts, some awkward British occupation... somewhere, probably the British Empire, basically the last legs of the British Empire, right? I think Hong Kong was like the last vestige of the British Empire as they basically handed over power to the Chinese Communist Party. Oh, no. They handed it back to the people of Hong Kong, and then the Chinese Communist Party just came and took it over. But anyways, this isn't a politics channel. This is a media entertainment channel. So we start the movie with that, some weird concentration camp. Mom gets killed by some sniper who's trying to kill off the British officers. Dad's super sad, wants to take care of his son, so he takes a weird extreme view. He's got to, like, lock his son up and keep him from the world or whatever. That backfires, obviously, because then the son's like, screw you, Dad, I want to get out of here. I want to go fight in the World War I. I want to go die for my country. Or not really, like, die, but, like, go fight, not be seen as a coward who's hiding.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because back then, World War I and other wars, too, I mean, the Civil War as well, like, young men were expected to go die, or not to go die, but go fight, and they did go fight and die in huge droves. If you guys get a chance, look at my Digitally Twisted Music channel. That has a lot of history in it. That's usually where I go to talk about history. Not so much politics, but history, because it's important for us to remember our past. So, this kid wants to conscript Conrad. He keeps trying, but his dad keeps holding him back and saying, no. Eventually, Conrad kind of, like, proves himself in a way, but he kind of like tricks his dad, and he goes to himself conscripted in the English army anyways, fighting in World War I. Well, an incident happens where he switches his identity with another person, sends that person to go talk to Dad.
Because Dad, again, pulling some strings behind the scenes to try to keep him safe, keep him out of harm's way, get him sent back to, probably do office work back in London.
Because, see, it all started, so the son basically was growing up, and then the father decided to bring him into the Kingsmen, like their little secret society.
What they had going on. It wasn't officially the Kingsmen then, but it was interesting. They were kind of like a militia. They were a kind of renegade group.
An influential militia.
Yes, well, they were people who were just everyday citizens that were working in influential households that because of that were able to kind of spy and influence these higher political figures through their positions as servants within their households. Nannies, maids, butlers, people like that who you wouldn't think as they're standing in the room serving your tea that they're listening to your conversations and passing the information through their networks, which I thought that was like really interesting.
Well, that's real life. Like,
yeah, because that is
like,
real life. And
like
I thought
CIA used to do,
Mhm.
KGB, you got the CCP doing it now. But yeah, that's most common, like in actual successful spy networks, is just having a bunch of people part of a system and slowly collecting information. So that's what they were doing, and they were trying to undo the evils of the world. Meanwhile, the main villain, who is
Morton, this one right here.
Matthew Good, right here as Morton, he is assembling a bunch of people who just happens to always find themselves within very prestigious, there he is, has assembled a group of people who just happen to be placed right next to most powerful people in the world. And he's basically just an angry Scottishman who wants to take Scotland back from Britain. And his decision to do that is to influence the beginning of World War I by orchestrating the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, which actually did happen in real life by this individual right here, who was part of the Black Serbian Hand. The person who killed him was, I may not be pronouncing his name correctly, was Gavrilo Princip. And you can see him being arrested right here. And he was part of the Black Serbian Hand that wanted, freedom from this government. And he assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Okay? It's been a long day. Anyways, so that,
And the scene
to my opinion, kind of gave everyone an excuse to start going to war. Now, I'm not a full historian, but when you look back in World War I and see how the death of one person kind of like made everything fall apart and led to World War I, you had Germany, you had Russia, you had France, you had England, and eventually the United States getting involved as well. To me, it seemed more like this guy was just used as an excuse in order to start it than anything else. But in the movie, it's like that's the turning point right there. That guy has to die, and it turns around, and I think it was done very poorly, because when our dude here, Matthew Good, who again plays the evil Scottish guy, it just seemed too convenient. Like, who was he? What was his background? Like, how did he happen to get so influential that he could get all these people placed as some of the most important people in the world? Like, he even gets like one of his followers, who basically prostitutes herself. That's Valerie Pachner here as Mata Hari, who prostitutes herself to not only to a American ambassador, but also the president of the United States. And
well, that name sounds familiar. That sounds like that was a real person.
I don't know. Let's see here. Through the power of the internet, we're going to find out. Oh, maybe she was. Look at that.
Oh, she was a dancer.
Yeah.
A Dutch exotic dancer in
A Dutch exotic dancer in Corson who was convicted of being a spy for Germany during World War I.
Okay.
Well, we just got educated, folks. Let's go see here. Oh, wow. Okay.
It looked like her, too.
Yeah, she was quite a looker, it seems, for her day. Okay. I don't know. I think the Instagram booty models of our days would definitely have some issues with her. This started to feel more like a digitally twisted Outlaws video than anything else. Well, you know what? We'll talk about her in that channel. That channel is more for this kind of material anyways. Okay. Getting away from all of this. Okay, so I guess she actually was a spy who's convicted and executed for Germany. But however, in the movie, because they're bastardizing history, this is all being plotted by an angry Scottishman. It gets to a point in the movie where I feel like it's just too grandiose to be believed. Okay? Like, one Scottish guy, who, by the way, is hanging out in the middle of nowhere on top of this, like, basically this giant plateau with like a bunch of goats.
And like you did point out, the whole way that they were able to track it back to him in that location is because for some reason he gave all of his followers these cashmere scarves. Where the cashmere only came from one particular region.
Which he had to be camped out on.
Yes, and through the Duke of Oxford's connections with the tailors at the Kingsman shop, they knew exactly where that particular cashmere came from, thus leading them straight onto his farm.
Which is like, if you're intelligent enough, like super hyper intelligent, like straight up like the Matrix like supercomputer. If you're that smart, like Skynet, like straight up Skynet from Terminator, although Skynet was kind of dumb too. So that's maybe not a good comparison. But if you're that smart that you're able to get people who are super loyal to you and fearful of you to all these particular positions of power and authority to control world leaders, you're not giving out scars that show exactly where you're from.
Right.
And why are you hanging out like on top of a plateau just dueling people all day and beating up and murdering goats?
Yeah, that one goat did not like
that
him.
was kind of stupid.
Yeah.
The whole thing was kind of stupid. It's like, it's like, you know, they couldn't decide, and that's the same thing with the weird homoerotic scenes with Rasputin that lasted way too long. It was just super awkward. Like, people were chuckling in the theater, but they weren't like laughing their butts off. Like, a lot of movies have gay jokes in it, and like little awkward like scenes where like, you know, either a heterosexual man is like, you know, coming on to a woman or whatever, and then like woman's like, oh my god, it's so awkward, and people laugh about it. Or like a really like gay guy is like coming on to another dude and like laugh about it. This one was more like a very long, uncomfortable scene where like the director just wanted to make the audience uncomfortable and feel weird.
It was kind of
like
weird.
It was too weird. Yeah, a little off. But that was one of it. But then like this guy, it's like you've got this Scottish man who's orchestrating all this and hanging out on a plateau with a bunch of goats, and he surrounds himself with idiots with rifles. So it just seemed too convenient. They had to build up, and then again, like I said, it sounded like somebody who's less competent suddenly got hold of it, shook it up, threw it on the ground, and then they're like, "Oh crap! He totally just Rian Johnson this whole film. Let's now actually it's not about the son. It's about the father.
I don't think it was that bad.
It wasn't as bad as The Last
Rian
Jedi,
Johnson.
but it was a bit of a Rian Johnson effect where it's like they just kind of threw it down, and be like, ah. You thought it was going to be about a young boy growing up. Well, I'm going to turn your Luke Skywalker into a weird old milk drinking cuck boy. Anywho's, so and then all of a sudden, like what happens is the son goes out, he tricks his father, he switches identities with a lance corporal because he's an officer at the Grenadier. His father manipulates the situation, so the son goes to be an officer, a pencil pusher for the general. The son plays a game. He heads out. It takes place with this lance corporal. There's a fight scene. There's a battle scene where a guy gets blown up. Which I'll tell you what, I've been trained to do do tourniquets on people's legs. The British flag just kind of tied up as a knot is not going to put enough pressure to stop the femoral artery from bleeding out. That guy would have died. That dude was way too chipper and way too good conscience to like be somebody whose literally leg was blown off. Like this dude would be freaking out.
He would
and
have been in shock.
And then we had another weird homoerotic scene where it's just like the guy's like, "Come here, I'm Code. Come sit next to me." Okay.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. And then he's like crying.
It's like this is how he's holding him. Like, it's all right. Don't worry. It's okay. Oh yes, come closer to me. And I'm like, what? Is this a joke again? I don't get it. It's like, look, if you're gonna make gay jokes, make gay jokes. If you're not gonna make gay jokes, don't make gay jokes. But it's like, what's with the weird homoerotic attention all the time? It's I don't know. I thought it was odd. I thought it was out of place. It
was a little bit.
Middle of a World War I battle scene too. It's like maybe I'm misreading it, but that's what I conveyed out of it.
I don't know. I felt like some of the scenes in which they were trying to convey comedy just didn't really come across to me as very comedic.
Yeah, it was
more awkward than anything.
So the son saves the guy, which this dude would have bled out or died from shock a long time ago. Carries him back, almost. A shell goes off, throws them both into the trench. The guy.
And it's funny because right before that happened, remember I made that comment to you because there was so much shooting and dirt blowing up around them. I was like, yeah, that leg wound is going to get so horribly infected that there's no way that guy's surviving it. And you were like, yeah, he's dead. And then that shell went off, threw them into the trench, and then...
There's a movie we saw one time where somebody was literally picked up by an explosion fire and thrown to safety. It was so ridiculous. It was kind of like that. They would have both been dead. Not the guy in the back. They both would have been dead. They got literally a shell blew up right next to them, flung them far away. They're both dead. Anyways, so the guy with the leg, the miracle wound, he dies automatically. And then the son gets up, and then the guy's like, hey, wait a minute. You're not Lance
Who are
Corporal.
you?
They're not Lance Corporal Bree or Richard or whatever.
Archie.
Archie. You're not Lance Corporal Archie. You're somebody else. The guy's like, oh yes, I'm somebody else. You're a German spy. And just
And
shoots
him in the head.
right there. It just seemed too convenient. And again, like I said, it feels more like a Ryan Johnson. Like they had to force the son's death in order to make this movie move forward, but in such a way that it was kind of just dumb because then the kid died. You seem like you enjoyed it.
No, I mean, I didn't enjoy that. It was really shocking to me. I didn't feel like it was Ryan Johnson, though. Like, I don't know. Maybe I, just remembered differently with Star Wars. Like, Star Wars sucked a lot.
The Last Jedi.
Yeah, well, yes, the Ryan Johnson
Remember, we're on
Star
the internet.
Wars.
They will find us. Like the other one, like the Batman trailer.
Oh my god.
Remember,
Don't even get me
being
started on that.
standing up for your wife online is being a simp.
Apparently.
I don't know. Welcome to we're 2022 now. Yay! Happy New Year!
So anyways, I mean, I felt like it was really shocking to me when they killed Conrad. I was not expecting it. And I felt like it was kind of a ballsy move for the movie to do because, well, a lot of times movies don't do that. They don't just straight up have what seems to be the main character get shot in the head.
It seemed more like, again, like somebody just got a toy, they wanted to play with it, and it's like, I'll screw with this. It
was shocking, for sure. And
sure, shocking, but not in like an impressive way. All right, let's talk about, okay, so that happens, right?
Yes, that happens.
And then the dad goes downhill, and then she basically kicks his butt back into shape.
Yeah.
And then they start finding out that the reason why the United States isn't joining the war is because, what was her name again?
Mata Hari.
Mata Hari. Because this lady here was seducing a bunch of people, the American ambassador, and somehow got to the White House, and then somehow people got a video through the White House is like you know where the Oval Office is, the little drapes are open up. Somehow they're able to get their camera zoomed in like perfectly to see her getting her jig on with the president, and it's like you got to be kidding me, dude. So that happens.
I don't know this timeline of, well, yeah, I don't know. It says here, so she died in 1917.
She was killed in 1917, and then Mata Hari lived the strangest existence among all spies. As a stripper, she conned military officers with her body until she executed. I think she was a little bit more than a stripper. So basically, she got caught into something that she wasn't ready for, or wasn't really. She was being used. She's being used as a spy, and in this movie, she's also being used as a spy. And she doesn't get killed, but she gets choked out, and then she passes out. So
no, I assumed she died.
Maybe. Anyways, so the dad falls apart.
Yeah.
Duke of Oxford falls apart. Polly Wilkins comes here and just like, you are a man, and I'm leaving your service, your grace. I'm gonna make out with you, like, and leave you here. And he's like, wait, I need that strong cup of tea. So I guess she cured his erectile dysfunction or something. I don't know what's going on.
I assumed that they were banging since the first introduction of her.
Yeah, she was way too pretentious and full of herself, and it's just like, okay, guys, it's like you live in. I know you're living in a mansion, but trust me, people pay attention to all the drama and the relationships that go on. So it was kind of goofy. Movie just didn't feel well thought out to me at all. So eventually they go through Mata Hari. They get the little secret tape from the main Scottish villain guy whose name I already forgot again, because again it's like
Morton,
thank
Remember,
you.
You gotta think of Morton Salt.
Yeah, sure. How about somebody who wasn't not enough background with him? He has some cry sob story about the British stealing his parents' farm or something, but it's soon forgotten about. I don't care. I have no idea how he assembled all these people, how he got them to listen to him. Like, here's a ring that shows your worthiness, and here's a little cyanide pill so you can kill yourself if you fail me. But it's like, dude, you're hanging out on some weird plateau with a bunch of goats just beating up on dudes that are half your, not even tiny quarter% of your intelligence. And your stupid self gave away a bunch of very luxurious red scarves to all your followers. So it's, yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't take it seriously. This gentleman right here,
Was awesome.
Jaimin, who's, I believe I pronounced his name correctly, did a good job.
He was awesome.
He was awesome. His fight scene with Rasputin was ridiculous. I'm pretty sure he would slice this person to bits. Okay, you can literally watch the fight scene, and you can tell that the choreographer must have been like drinking that day, or like maybe he was taking some opium from Rasputin here or something. I don't know, because you could tell this guy was holding back so much on his slices and his cuts and his thrusts. Okay. Like in the fight scene the whole time, like no, like Rasputin's little twirling around thing would have just gotten him killed really quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then it ends. They get the dirty sex tape basically from the president. It gives it back to him. He's like, oh,
Now I can bring the Americans into the war.
call my generals. Now we can go fight the war. Blah blah blah. It's like, whatever, man. And then it ends on a happy note. And then Duke of Oxford gathers everybody around, and they create the Kingsmen. Wow, guys, come on. They really could have done a way better job with this. Like, get rid of the weird Austin. That's what it was like. Okay, it was like Austin Powers type humor. But
Yeah,
it was
definitely.
just misplaced and not appropriate for a film like this. Like, this isn't an Austin Powers film.
I really liked the first two Kingsmen movie.
Yes, because they were good.
They were really good. It's like
Their humor also
they had
meshed
a
well.
little bit of humor,
Yeah,
but it wasn't like awkward humor. And I don't know if this is just a new thing.
They also
that's
didn't
going...
off the young guy like halfway
Yeah,
through and
that's
completely flip flop what the movie was, who the movie was about, who was the protagonist.
So
But
I don't know if maybe this is a new thing that's going on with movies. Maybe people being locked up in their houses for the last 2 years. People are just becoming so disconnected and everybody's doing so much stuff on the internet that they're not used to interacting. But I watched another movie recently too. I watched the movie Old, and that had a lot of really, really awkward scenes in it that I just felt really uncomfortable watching. And what else? Oh, we just also watched that Spider-Man movie, and that also had some very awkward scenes in it. So it's like there's this trend of like these really long, drawn out, very awkward social human interactions in movies. And I personally think people have just forgotten how to interact with people because they've been locked up so much. I don't know. That's my
maybe.
theory.
I think I might be stretching it a bit, but
I don't know.
It's someone in Hollywood loves long, drawn out, awkward scenes now.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm gonna give this movie. I'm already gonna forget about it. Okay,
Yeah?
I'm gonna give it a C. It's
C.
It's forgettable for me.
Oh.
What about you?
I mean, I would give it a B.
A B?
Yeah,
I think
sure.
You're being way too generous.
I mean, I don't think it's C. I don't know. I don't think it's C word.
It's definitely C.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awkward to me. But you don't have to be influenced by me.
I mean,
Or does she? All right, you all have a wonderful night. Happy New Year's.
Happy
We'll
New
see
Year's.
you guys more and more. Thanks for being here. Look forward to a great year in 2022. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.